All right, folks, what if I told you there's a leader in Europe who says mass migration isn't just a policy error? It's a deliberate plan to replace you, that the EU isn't broken. It was always a bad idea. That freedom's biggest enemy today isn't communism. It's liberalism. You're about to hear why Hungary's Prime Minister, Viktor Orbán, might be the last man in Europe actually telling the truth. Have you ever wondered why countries like France and Sweden look completely different from just 20 years ago? Viktor Orbán says it wasn't an accident. He calls it a planned demographic shift, one designed by the global left to change society forever. Orbán sat down for a wide-ranging interview, and whether you love him or hate him, he dropped truth bombs that Western leaders won't touch. From Brussels to Berlin, his words are being ignored or attacked. But in Hungary, he's built an alternative. No mass immigration, no gender ideology in schools, no inheritance tax inside families, and a clear defence of Christian values. Orbán's central warning: migration isn't about helping the poor, it's about changing who votes. He says the modern left knows they've lost the argument with working people, and so they're importing new ones. People who will never vote for Christians or nationalists, and who can be relied on to back globalist parties and socialist handouts. And here's the kicker. He says it's not a conspiracy theory. It's openly happening. Mass migration is not a crisis, he said. It's a strategy. So what's the long-term game? Orbán believes it's nothing short of a civilisational transformation, or one that swaps Christian, family-rooted societies for fragmented, secular, multicultural states. He calls the EU a failed experiment, an intellectual misconception. Why? Because everybody's responsible for everything and no one's responsible for anything. Hungary, he says, rejected that future. Instead of importing workers, they invested in pro-family policies. Tax-free income for mothers with 2 or more children. No inheritance tax within families. 30 instruments to support childbirth over border crossings. It's bold, it's different, and it's working. Until COVID, Hungary was one of the few European nations reversing population decline without immigration. But Orbán's message isn't just about policies, it's about identity. He moved Hungary's crown of St. Stephen from a museum back into Parliament. Not as a stunt, but as a symbol. If we still have the crown, we still have the country. He talks openly about God, humility, and the idea that freedom must be for something, or not just from something. For a continent that's lost touch with its roots, it's a powerful reminder that real freedom isn't rejecting the past. It's preserving what's worth saving. When asked about Europe's response to Ukraine, Orbán doesn't mince words. This war won't be ended by Ukraine and Russia. It will only end when America and Russia make a deal. He called the Western plan to make Ukraine a NATO proxy a fatal miscalculation. And unlike most European leaders, he predicted Russia would win, and he was right. He says European leaders can't admit the truth because they know what comes next. Accountability for the deaths, the debt, and the delusions. Orbán's vision isn't just about Hungary. It's about the Western world waking up. Conservatism, he says, means understanding there are things more important than yourself. God, family, nation. And if Europe doesn't return to those values, he warns, it's not just culture that will collapse. It's the whole civilization. So, is Viktor Orbán right? Maybe the better question is, if he is, who's got the courage to follow him? If you believe in family, freedom and national sovereignty, this is the conversation we need to be having. Subscribe to TruthCast UK for more unfiltered analysis. Share this with someone who still believes mass immigration is a humanitarian policy. Drop a comment. If you think Britain should be following Hungary's lead,